Dr. HFY pressed her six-fingered hand against the cool metal surface of the observation deck window. Stars filled the view before her, but her attention focused on one particular yellow star in the distance. For 237 years she had watched that star and the small blue planet that circled it, the planet called Earth. The monitoring station Sentinel-7 hung silently at the edge of the Sol system. Hidden behind advanced cloaking technology, it had observed humanity since their first steam engines began pumping smoke into their atmosphere. HFY had been there for most of that time, watching a species that fascinated and puzzled her in equal measure. Her assistant Colvin entered the observation room carrying a data pad. The young Altarian had only been assigned to the station for 20 years, but he already showed promise as a xenobiologist. His blue skin held the deeper tones that marked him as one of the newer generation, those who believed the old ways of careful observation were too slow for the modern galaxy. "Doctor, the latest reports from Earth show remarkable progress in their quantum computing research," Colvin said, his voice carrying the musical quality typical of his people. "Dr. Alex Morgan at their Global Research Institute has achieved breakthrough calculations that should have taken them decades to reach." HFY turned from the window. Her large golden eyes, adapted for the dim light of her homeworld, studied the data pad. "Show me the details," she said. The pad displayed holographic images of human laboratories where scientists worked with equipment that seemed primitive by galactic standards, yet achieved results that impressed even council experts. Dr. Morgan and his colleague Dr. Lisa Carter have been working together on something they call consciousness integration. Colvin continued. Their research suggests they are trying to merge biological awareness with quantum field manipulation. The implications are extraordinary. HFY had seen many species attempt similar research. Most failed completely. Those that succeeded usually destroyed themselves in the process. But humans seemed different. They approached problems with a combination of caution and boldness that she had never observed in other species. When they failed, they learned. When they succeeded, they shared their knowledge freely. "The council debates continue," Colvin said, bringing up another section of data. "Ambassador Thrix still argues that humans are too unpredictable for contact. She points to their history of conflicts and their tendency toward emotional decision-making." HFY made a sound that might have been laughter in another species. "Thrix sees only the surface. Yes, humans fight among themselves, but look deeper. When faced with global threats, they unite. When their planet was dying from pollution, they worked together to save it. When diseases threatened to wipe out millions, they shared cures freely across political boundaries." The young assistant pulled up historical records. Images flowed across the hologram showing human achievements over the past century. Cities that cleaned their own air, oceans that had been restored from near death, deserts that bloomed with new life thanks to atmospheric processors that humans had developed and shared freely with any nation that wanted them. "Commander Yexta supports contact," Colvin said. "She believes human potential outweighs their risks. Her report states that humans have shown remarkable growth in cooperation over the past 50 years. HFY nodded. The Void Swimmer commander had a reputation for seeing the bigger picture. Her people lived in the deep spaces between stars, and they understood better than most how rare it was to find a species that could balance individual creativity with group cooperation. Most species fell too far toward one extreme or the other." "What does the latest vote count show?" HFY asked. Colvin checked his data pad. 47 species support immediate contact. 31 oppose it. 22 remain undecided. We need 60 votes for approval. The debate had raged for decades. The Galactic Council moved slowly by design, ensuring that contact with new species was handled carefully. Too many civilizations had been destroyed by premature contact with more advanced species. The Council had learned to wait, to watch, to understand before acting. But watching humans for over 2 centuries had taught HFY something important. This species adapted faster than any other she had studied. They learned from their mistakes instead of repeating them. They took risks that would terrify other species, yet somehow made those risks pay off. A soft chime indicated an incoming transmission from the council chambers. Colvin activated the communication array, and the image of Council Leader Prime Zolthak appeared in the air between them. The ancient being's crystalline features showed no emotion as always, But HFY had learned to read the subtle changes in his energy patterns. Dr. HFY, the council leader said, his voice carrying harmonics that spoke of vast age and experience. The council has reached a decision regarding the human species. HFY felt her heart skip a beat. After all these years of observation and debate, the moment had finally arrived. What is the council's decision, Prime Zolthak? The vote was close, but the motion has passed. The council authorizes first contact with humanity. You are to begin contact protocols immediately. The humans have demonstrated sufficient technological advancement and social cooperation to warrant inclusion in galactic society. Colven made a sound of excitement, but HFY raised a hand for silence. What convinced the undecided voters, Prime Zolthak? Their response to the climate crisis was the deciding factor. The humans not only solved their planetary environmental problems but did so through unprecedented global cooperation. They proved they can work together when survival is at stake. This suggests they will be able to handle the responsibilities of galactic citizenship. The transmission ended, leaving HFY and Colven alone with the magnitude of what was about to happen. In her 2 centuries of observation, she had never imagined this moment would actually arrive. First contact with humanity would change everything, both for humans and for the galaxy itself. Doctor, Colven said, his voice filled with wonder, we're about to make history. HFY moved to her workstation and began activating the contact preparation systems. Screens came to life around her, showing detailed maps of Earth, cultural analysis reports, and communication protocols. Everything she had studied for over 2 centuries would now be put to use. But as she began her work, something strange appeared on her quantum sensors. The readings from Earth showed massive energy spikes unlike anything she had ever recorded. The quantum signatures that had been slowly building over the past decade suddenly jumped beyond the range of her instruments. Colven, look at this, she called. Her assistant hurried over to examine the readings. His eyes widened as he processed the data. Doctor, these readings are impossible. Nothing should be able to generate quantum fields of this magnitude. The energy required would be enormous. HFY stared at the data streaming across her screens. After 2 centuries of careful observation, something unprecedented was happening on Earth. The humans were about to achieve something that would change not just their world, but potentially the entire galaxy. And the council had decided to make contact at this exact moment. She had no way of knowing that they were already too late. Admiral Kreenox stood on the bridge of his flagship watching Earth grow larger in the main viewport. 3 weeks had passed since the quantum energy readings from the planet had gone silent. No response to communication attempts. No signs of the technological activity that had marked human civilization for decades. Just an eerie quiet that made the scales along his neck stand on end. The first contact fleet consisted of 12 ships from 6 different species. Each vessel carried diplomatic teams, scientists and cultural specialists prepared for humanity's introduction to galactic society. Admiral Kreenox had led first contact missions before, but none had felt as important as this one. Humans had shown such promise during their centuries of observation. Admiral, his communications officer called from her station. Still no response from any human transmission sources. Radio frequencies that were active just days ago are now completely silent. Dr. HFY had requested to join the contact fleet when the readings from Earth became impossible to explain. She now stood beside the Admiral, her golden eyes fixed on the blue planet ahead. Something has changed down there. Something we did not anticipate. Sensor report, the Admiral ordered. Life signs are confusing, sir. We detect no human biological signatures anywhere on the planet. But the cities show no signs of damage. Infrastructure appears to be functioning normally. Traffic control systems are operational. Power grids are stable. It is as if the humans simply vanished while leaving everything else running. Commander Rexthor, the fleet's security specialist, stepped forward. His massive frame and armored skin made him an intimidating presence, but his voice carried concern rather than threat. Admiral, my teams are ready for surface deployment. We should investigate immediately. Admiral Kreenox nodded. Dr. HFY, I want you leading the first survey team. Commander Rexthor will provide security. Dr. Nimara from the Archaeology Division should join you as well. If something has happened to humanity, we need to understand what it was. An hour later, Dr. HFY found herself standing in Times Square in New York City. The famous location bustled with activity, but no humans walked the streets. Automated vehicles moved in perfect patterns. Digital billboards continued displaying advertisements for products that no one was there to buy. Street cleaning robots went about their programmed routes as if nothing had changed. "This is unprecedented," Dr. Nimara said, scanning the area with her archaeological sensors. "I detect no signs of struggle, no evidence of evacuation, no bodies or remains. It is as if 8 billion humans simply chose to disappear at the same moment." Commander Rex Thor examined a coffee shop where cups still sat on tables, some still warm. "Security systems show no signs of intrusion or conflict. Whatever happened here, it was not violent." They made their way to the Global Research Institute where Dr. Alex Morgan had been conducting his quantum consciousness research. The building's security systems recognized their approach and automatically opened the doors. Inside, laboratories hummed with the sound of equipment still running experiments that had been started days earlier. Dr. HFY found Dr. Morgan's laboratory on the 15th floor. Computer screens still displayed complex equations and quantum field calculations. A holographic projection showed a three-dimensional model of something that looked like a neural network merged with quantum energy patterns. "Dr. Nimara, can you access their computer systems?" HFY asked. "Already working on it," the archaeologist replied, connecting her devices to the human computers. "Their security is sophisticated but not designed to keep out our technology. I am accessing their recent files now." Video logs began playing on the laboratory screens. Dr. Alex Morgan appeared looking tired but excited. "Day 47 of Project Ascension. Lisa and I have achieved stable consciousness quantum field integration in our test subjects. The volunteers report enhanced awareness and the ability to perceive multiple dimensional layers simultaneously." The video jumped to another date. Dr. Lisa Carter joined Dr. Morgan on screen. "Day 52. We have confirmed that consciousness can exist independently of biological form, while maintaining individual identity and memory. The quantum field provides a stable matrix for awareness to inhabit." Dr. HFY felt her scales tighten with growing understanding. They were attempting consciousness transfer. But that is impossible. No species has ever achieved stable consciousness separation from biological form. The final video log showed both scientists looking directly into the camera. Dr. Morgan spoke with calm certainty. "Day 58. We are ready for the final phase. The global network is in place. Every human who chooses to participate will be connected simultaneously. We estimate that 97% of the population has volunteered." Dr. Carter continued. "If anyone finds this recording, please understand that we have not died or fled. We have chosen to evolve. The quantum consciousness field allows us to exist without the limitations of physical form, while retaining everything that makes us human. We go not to escape our responsibilities to our world, but to better understand the universe around us." Dr. Morgan looked directly at the camera as if speaking to future viewers. "We will be watching, learning, growing. Perhaps one day when we understand what we have become, we will find a way to share our discoveries with others. The universe is vast and full of wonders. We have simply learned how to explore it properly." The recording ended, leaving the three investigators in stunned silence. Commander Rex Thor was the first to speak. 8 billion humans underwent consciousness transfer simultaneously? That should have been impossible. Dr. Nimara checked her readings. The quantum energy signatures make sense now. What we recorded as impossible readings were actually the energy patterns of 8 billion human consciousnesses, transitioning from biological to quantum form. Dr. HFY activated her communication device. "Admiral Kreenox, we need to report our findings immediately. Humanity has not disappeared. They have evolved beyond our current understanding of consciousness and existence. Back on the surface, they explored more of Earth's cities. Everywhere they found the same scene. Perfect preservation of human civilization with no humans present. Automated systems continued maintaining the planet as if waiting for their creators to return. In London, they found research facilities where similar experiments had been conducted. In Tokyo, government buildings contained detailed records of the global coordination required for Project Ascension. In every major city, the story was the same. Humanity had worked together to achieve something that the Galactic Council had thought impossible. Commander Rex Thor made a disturbing discovery at a military installation. The planetary defense systems are not only operational, they have been enhanced. Earth is protecting itself, but I cannot determine from what or how. Dr. HFY realized the implications. If humanity has achieved consciousness transfer while maintaining their individual identities and memories, they may still be here. We simply cannot detect them with our current sensors. As if responding to her words, the screens in the research facility began displaying new data. Quantum field patterns appeared that seemed almost like attempts at communication. The patterns were complex and structured, far beyond anything that natural phenomena could produce. Dr. HFY, Dr. Nimara called excitedly. These patterns show signs of linguistic structure. It is as if something is trying to communicate with us through quantum field manipulation. Dr. HFY stared at the patterns flowing across the screens. After 2 centuries of studying humanity, she thought she understood them. But they had surprised her once again. They had achieved something that no species in galactic history had ever accomplished. And if her suspicions were correct, they were still here, watching and waiting. The question was whether they wanted to be found. Dr. HFY had not slept in 3 days. Her team worked around the clock to decode the quantum patterns that appeared on Earth's computer systems. The patterns were clearly artificial, showing mathematical structures too complex and organized to be natural phenomena. But translating them into meaningful communication proved almost impossible. Dr. Nimara looked up from her translation algorithms. "Doctor, I believe I have found something. The patterns repeat certain mathematical constants that appear in human scientific literature. If we use human mathematical principles as a base language, some of these signals begin to make sense." "Show me," HFY said, moving to examine the archaeologist's work. On the screen, quantum energy patterns had been translated into mathematical equations that looked familiar. They matched formulas from human physics textbooks, but with modifications that suggested far more advanced understanding. Commander Rex Thor entered the makeshift laboratory they had established in Dr. Morgan's research facility. "My security teams report unusual activity across the planet. Nothing threatening, but systems are activating that should not be able to function without human operators. It is as if the planet itself is responding to our presence." Dr. HFY made a decision that would have seemed impossible weeks earlier. "We need to attempt direct communication. If humans have achieved consciousness transfer while maintaining their identities, they may be trying to contact us through these quantum patterns. How do we communicate with beings made of quantum energy?" Commander Rex Thor asked. Dr. Nimara had been studying human quantum communication research. Their own equipment might work. Dr. Morgan and Dr. Carter built quantum field generators that were designed to facilitate consciousness transfer. If we modify them for 2-way communication instead of 1-way transfer, we might be able to establish contact. Working with human technology felt strange to the galactic team. Human engineering followed different principles than most species used. Where other civilizations built for efficiency and standardization, humans built for adaptability and creative problem-solving. Their quantum generators could be modified in ways that more rigid designs could not. After 8 hours of modifications, they activated the quantum communication array. Dr. HFY input a simple mathematical message based on the patterns they had been receiving. Prime numbers in sequence followed by basic geometric relationships, universal concepts that any intelligent species should recognize. The response came instantly, not through the communication array but through every screen and speaker in the building. A voice spoke in perfect Altarian, Dr. HFY's native language. "Dr. HFY, we have been waiting for you to find a way to hear us." The 3 investigators froze. Commander Rex Thor reached for his weapons before remembering that there was nothing physical to fight. Dr. Nimara stared at her instruments in amazement. Dr. HFY found her voice first. "Who are you?" she asked. "I am Dr. Lisa Carter. Or rather, I was Dr. Lisa Carter when I had a physical form. Now I am something more. But I remember everything I was before. My consciousness exists in the quantum field, but my memories, my personality, my knowledge remain intact." "This is impossible," Dr. Nimara whispered. "Consciousness cannot exist independently of biological neural networks." Dr. Carter's voice carried what sounded like amusement. "Many things are impossible until someone proves they are not. Humans have always been good at finding new ways to do impossible things. We learned that consciousness is not dependent on biology. It is a pattern that can exist in many different substrates. Where are the others? Dr. Zephai asked. Where are the rest of humanity? We are everywhere and nowhere. Some of us remain near Earth, maintaining our world and learning about your ships. Others have traveled to distant galaxies, exploring wonders we never imagined when we were bound by physical form. Alex is currently observing a civilization of energy beings in the Andromeda Galaxy. Captain Jake Turner is mapping quantum dimensional layers near the galactic core. Commander Rex Thor stepped forward. Are you a threat to galactic civilization? Commander Rex Thor, your concern is understandable but unnecessary. We have spent the past months learning about the galaxy and the civilizations within it. We have observed the Galactic Council, studied your technologies and cultures. We pose no threat because we need nothing that physical beings possess. We have transcended the limitations that drive most conflicts. Dr. Zephai felt overwhelming curiosity. What have you learned during your exploration? The universe is far more wonderful and complex than we ever imagined. There are civilizations that exist on timescales spanning millions of years. Artificial intelligences that have outlived their creators by countless generations. Energy beings older than your galactic core. Species that exist in dimensions we never knew were possible. Another voice joined the conversation. Dr. Zephai, this is Alex Morgan. We have been watching your civilization with great interest. Your people show remarkable dedication to understanding other species. Your centuries of patient observation of humanity demonstrate wisdom that many galactic civilizations lack. Why did you wait so long to reveal yourselves? Dr. Nimara asked. Dr. Carter answered, we needed time to understand what we had become and how our transformation might affect galactic society. We also wanted to learn about other civilizations before introducing ourselves. Knowledge of your cultures and values helps us interact appropriately. Dr. Morgan continued, we have also been helping where we could without revealing ourselves. Several recent scientific breakthroughs in council civilizations were inspired by subtle suggestions from our explorers. The solution to the Rigelian plague came from research we guided anonymously. The peace treaty between the Spiral Confederacy and the Void Swimmers succeeded because we helped both sides understand each other's positions. Commander Rex Thor lowered his weapons completely. You have been protecting galactic civilization without anyone knowing? Not protecting, Dr. Carter corrected. Helping. We believe civilizations should solve their own problems, but sometimes a small amount of guidance can prevent catastrophic mistakes. We have prevented 3 different stellar wars by facilitating communication between opposing sides. Dr. Zephai realized the full implications of what she was hearing. Humanity has achieved something unprecedented in galactic history. You have transcended physical limitations while maintaining your individual consciousnesses and your commitment to helping others. We remain human in all the ways that matter, Dr. Morgan said. We still feel curiosity, joy, compassion, and the drive to explore and help others. We have simply gained the ability to exist without the constraints of physical form. We can be in multiple places simultaneously, experience time non-linearly, and share consciousness while maintaining our individual identities. A new voice joined them. Dr. Zephai, this is Professor Emma Blake. I have been coordinating relief efforts for the Andorian crisis. The stellar collapse that threatens their system can be stabilized, but it requires precise quantum field manipulation. We would like to offer our assistance to save those worlds. Dr. Zephai felt her understanding of the universe shifting. Humanity had not disappeared. They had evolved into something that could help solve problems that had seemed impossible. The Council had spent centuries debating whether humans were ready for galactic civilization. Instead, humanity had transformed into something that could help galactic civilization reach new heights. Will you help us communicate with the Council? She asked. We would be honored to introduce ourselves properly to galactic civilization, Dr. Carter replied. We have much to offer and much to learn. The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been called within hours of Dr. Zephai's report, reaching Council Leader Prime Zolthak. Representatives from 112 species gathered in the Great Chamber, their various forms creating a spectacular display of galactic diversity. But all attention focused on the central platform where a shimmering humanoid figure of pure energy stood calmly waiting. Captain Jake Turner had volunteered to be humanity's first official representative before the Council. His quantum consciousness could manifest in physical form when necessary, appearing as a translucent human shape, filled with constantly shifting patterns of light and energy. Despite his transformed state, his voice carried the calm confidence that had made him an effective space exploration leader when he was still biological. "Honored council members," Captain Turner began, his voice reaching every corner of the vast chamber without technological amplification. "I stand before you not as a conqueror or a threat, but as a representative of humanity's desire to be partners in galactic civilization." Ambassador Thrix of the Crystalline Hegemony was the first to respond. Her angular crystal form resonated with frequencies that indicated deep concern. "Entity calling itself human, your species has achieved something unprecedented and potentially dangerous. How can we trust beings who can exist anywhere and manipulate quantum fields at will?" Captain Turner's form brightened slightly, showing patterns that observers would later learn indicated amusement. "Ambassador Thrix, I understand your concern. Trust must be earned through actions, not words. That is why humanity offers to help with the Andorian crisis. 8 billion lives hang in the balance as their star continues its collapse. Our abilities might provide solutions that conventional technology cannot achieve." Council Leader Prime Zolthak's ancient crystalline form shifted forward. "Explain how your transformed species could address a stellar collapse that our best scientists have deemed impossible to prevent. Stellar collapse occurs when the quantum foundations of nuclear fusion become unstable," Captain Turner explained. "Our consciousness can exist at the quantum level, allowing us to work directly with the fundamental forces that hold stars together. We can stabilize the quantum matrix that supports fusion reactions, buying time for conventional evacuation methods to save the Andorian population." Commander Yexta of the Void Swimmers spoke up. "Even if such intervention were possible, why would you risk your existence for people you have never met?" "Because that is what humans do," Captain Turner replied simply. "We help others when we can. This core aspect of our nature has not changed despite our transformation. If anything, our expanded capabilities increase our responsibility to assist those in need." Dr. Yuntel, the Council's leading xenobiologist, had been studying the data from Dr. Zephi's team. "Council Leader, the human transformation appears to be stable and voluntary. They have retained their individual consciousness patterns while gaining abilities that could benefit the entire galaxy. I recommend we allow them to attempt their proposed intervention." The debate continued for hours. Some council members feared that humanity's new abilities made them too powerful to be trusted. Others argued that their offer to help the Andorians demonstrated benevolent intentions. Admiral Kreenox provided detailed reports of humanity's respectful behavior during the investigation of Earth. Finally, Council Leader Prime Zolthak called for a decision. "Captain Turner, the Council will allow humanity to attempt intervention in the Andorian crisis. However, this will be closely monitored. Any sign of aggression or manipulation will result in immediate cessation of diplomatic relations." "Understood and agreed," Captain Turner replied. "Dr. Morgan and Professor Blake are already en route to the Andorian system. They will coordinate with your evacuation fleets and work under the supervision of your scientific teams." 3 days later, Admiral Kreenox stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching something that should have been impossible. The dying Andorian star had been flickering and collapsing for months. Evacuation efforts had saved only 30% of the system's population. The remaining 5 billion inhabitants faced certain death as their sun prepared for its final explosion. Now, the star burned steady and bright. Dr. Morgan's consciousness worked within the stellar core itself, manipulating quantum fields to restore stability to the fusion reactions. The readings showed energy patterns that no conventional technology could achieve. "Admiral," his science officer reported, "the star's quantum matrix has stabilized. Dr. Morgan estimates we now have 6 months before any further intervention is needed. More than enough time to complete the evacuation." Throughout the system, Professor Emma Blake's consciousness appeared aboard evacuation ships. Her ability to process information at quantum speeds allowed her to optimize evacuation routes in real time. Ships that had been struggling to navigate dangerous gravitational anomalies suddenly found safe passages, opening before them. Captain Turner manifested aboard the Admiral's flagship to coordinate the rescue efforts. "Professor Blake has identified several thousand Andorians trapped in underground shelters that your sensors missed. She is creating temporary quantum tunnels to allow rescue," ships to reach them safely. Admiral Kreenox watched his tactical displays in amazement as rescue operations that should have taken weeks were completed in hours. Quantum tunnels appeared exactly where evacuation ships needed them. Safe routes opened through stellar debris fields. Ships carrying refugees found their engines mysteriously more efficient, allowing them to reach safety faster than their specifications suggested possible. "How are you accomplishing these feats?" the Admiral asked Captain Turner. "Our consciousness exists across multiple dimensional layers simultaneously," Captain Turner explained. "We can perceive the quantum structure underlying physical reality and make precise adjustments that appear miraculous to those limited to single-dimensional existence. But we are not changing natural laws, merely working with them more efficiently than conventional technology allows." Within 2 weeks, the impossible had been achieved. All 8 billion Andorians had been safely evacuated from their dying system. The star continued burning steadily, giving the refugees time to establish new colonies in nearby systems. The evacuation fleet that had expected to save only a fraction of the population had saved everyone. News of humanity's successful intervention spread throughout the galaxy faster than official reports could travel. Species that had viewed the transformed humans with suspicion began reconsidering their positions. Commander, Rex Thor filed reports documenting humanity's respectful cooperation with galactic forces throughout the crisis. Dr. Zeph High received additional reports that amazed her even more than the Andorian rescue. Human consciousness entities had been quietly helping resolve conflicts across the galaxy. Border disputes between the Spiral, Confederacy, and the crystalline hegemony had been resolved through improved communication, facilitated by humans who could understand both cultures perfectly. The Rigelian plague that had puzzled medical experts for decades suddenly yielded to new treatment approaches after researchers reported inspiration from dreams that suggested novel therapeutic directions. The dreams had been subtle interventions by human consciousness entities, sharing knowledge without revealing their involvement. 3 months after the Andorian crisis, Ambassador Thrix requested a private meeting with Captain Turner. The crystalline being's harmonic frequencies had shifted to tones that indicated deep thought rather than suspicion. "Captain Turner, my species has always believed that power inevitably leads to corruption. Yet your people have gained abilities that border on omnipotence, and you use them only to help others. How do we reconcile this with our understanding of intelligent behavior?" "Ambassador Thrix, perhaps your understanding needs expansion," Captain Turner replied gently. "Power does corrupt when it is sought for selfish purposes. But humans did not seek power for its own sake. We sought understanding and the ability to explore the universe. The abilities we gained came with the realization that existence is far too vast and wonderful for any one species to dominate. We are students, not masters." The ambassador's frequencies shifted again, this time to patterns indicating acceptance. "I begin to understand why your transformation has been stable while others have led to destruction. You retained your humility along with your consciousness. We are still human in all the ways that matter," Captain Turner agreed. "We still make mistakes, still learn from experience, still find joy in discovery and helping others. We have simply gained new tools to pursue these essentially human activities." As reports of humanity's peaceful assistance continued to arrive from across the galaxy, the Council began to realize that they were witnessing something unprecedented. A species had transcended physical limitations without losing the qualities that made them valuable members of galactic civilization. Perhaps more importantly, they had gained abilities that could help solve problems that had plagued the galaxy for millennia. The question was no longer whether humanity could be trusted with their new abilities, but whether galactic civilization was ready to accept the help they offered. Ambassador Grace Chen materialized in the council chambers for the first time as humanity's official representative. Her quantum consciousness had chosen to maintain a form closely resembling her original human appearance, though she glowed with the same inner light that marked all transformed humans. The formal recognition ceremony had taken months to arrange, as the council worked to create new protocols for interaction with consciousness entities. Council leader Prime Zolthak, "Honored representatives," Ambassador Chen began, her voice carrying harmonics that spoke directly to the consciousness of every being present. "Humanity accepts formal recognition as galactic citizens with gratitude and humility. We pledge to use our abilities in service of peace, knowledge, and mutual prosperity." The vote had been unanimous. After witnessing humanity's selfless assistance during the Andorian crisis, and numerous other interventions. Even the most skeptical council members supported formal diplomatic relations. Ambassador Thrix herself had sponsored the final resolution, her crystalline form resonating with frequencies of approval that would have seemed impossible months earlier. Dr. Zeph High watched from the observation gallery, feeling a deep satisfaction that came from seeing her centuries of work reach this conclusion. The species she had studied for so long had not only joined galactic civilization, but had fundamentally changed what galactic civilization could become. Council Leader Prime, Solthek's ancient voice carried notes of wonder. Ambassador Chen, humanity's transformation has opened new possibilities for all of us. Your research into consciousness transcendence could benefit every species in the galaxy. Are you willing to share this knowledge? We are willing to share our discoveries with any species that wishes to explore consciousness evolution, Ambassador Chen replied. However, we must emphasize that transformation should never be forced. Each species must choose its own path to growth. Some may prefer to remain in physical form, and that choice deserves equal respect. Dr. Morgan and Dr. Carter had established the Quantum Consciousness Research Institute on Earth, working alongside scientists from dozens of species to study the implications of consciousness transcendence. Their research focused not on converting other species, but on understanding the fundamental nature of awareness itself. Our goal is knowledge, not conversion, Dr. Carter explained to visiting researchers. Understanding consciousness helps all beings reach their full potential, whether they choose biological, technological, or quantum forms of existence. Meanwhile, Captain Turner had become the galaxy's most effective explorer, his consciousness able to scout dangerous regions without risking physical crews. His reports led to the discovery of ancient artifact sites, contact with extra-dimensional entities, and the mapping of previously unknown cosmic phenomena. Captain Turner has discovered 17 new civilizations in regions we thought were empty space, Admiral Kreenox reported to the Council. His ability to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously allows him to detect life forms that our conventional sensors cannot perceive. Earth itself had become unique in the galaxy. The planet served as a cultural exchange center, where physical beings from across the galaxy could interact with humanity's quantum consciousness entities. Human consciousnesses chose to manifest physical forms periodically, sharing their original culture with alien visitors in ways that transcended language barriers. Professor Blake had developed techniques for directly sharing sensory and emotional experiences, allowing beings from completely different evolutionary backgrounds to understand each other. With unprecedented depth, a crystalline being could experience human music not just as sound, but as the emotional response humans felt when hearing it. This level of cultural understanding was impossible before humanity's transformation, reported Dr. Nimara, who had been studying the cultural exchange programs. Beings who could never communicate meaningfully before now share complex philosophical concepts and artistic expressions. The effects rippled throughout galactic civilization. Conflicts that had persisted for centuries were resolved when opposing sides gained true understanding of each other's perspectives. Scientific collaboration reached new heights as researchers could share not just data but actual insights and intuitive understanding. Commander Rexthor had become humanity's strongest advocate among the galactic military. Human consciousness entities have prevented 14 potential conflicts by facilitating communication between opposing forces. They never use their abilities to dominate or control, only to help others understand each other. 5 years after first contact, the galaxy faced its greatest challenge yet. Observations from the galactic edge revealed something that terrified even the most advanced civilizations. A wave of dark matter was expanding toward their galaxy, threatening to disrupt the fundamental forces that held stars and planets together. Our projections show that conventional technology cannot stop this phenomenon, Council Leader Prime Zolthak announced to an emergency assembly. The dark matter wave will reach the galactic core in approximately 100 years. All physical matter in its path will be rendered unstable. Ambassador Chen stood to address the assembled representatives. Humanity offers to investigate this phenomenon directly. Our consciousness can exist in the quantum fields that dark matter affects. We may be able to understand its nature and develop countermeasures. Dr. Morgan and Captain Turner led a team of human consciousnesses to the galactic edge, where they encountered something unprecedented. The dark matter wave was not a natural phenomenon. but the expansion field of a civilization so ancient and advanced that they existed as pure cosmic force. We are the Primarchs, the ancient beings, communicated through quantum resonance patterns. We seeded this galaxy billions of years ago and have returned to reclaim our creation. Lesser beings must be cleared to make space for our new works. Dr. Morgan attempted to establish meaningful communication. Ancient ones, this galaxy now hosts billions of civilizations that have grown and learned over eons. Surely there is room for both your works and ours to coexist. The response came as a wave of cosmic force that would have destroyed any physical being. Lesser consciousness cannot comprehend our purposes. You will be preserved as curiosities if you prove interesting enough. Captain Turner realized that humanity's unique nature might offer an unexpected advantage. Dr. Morgan, they see us as lesser beings because they measure consciousness by power rather than complexity. But what if we demonstrate something they have never encountered? Working together, the human consciousness entities began demonstrating abilities the Primarchs had never seen. They showed how individual consciousness could maintain identity while sharing experiences with others. They demonstrated creativity that came from limitation rather than unlimited power. They showed cooperation that made the whole greater than the sum of its parts. For the first time in cosmic ages, the Primarchs experienced surprise. This consciousness pattern is unknown to us. How do you maintain individuality while achieving collective purpose? We learned it from working with others, Dr. Carter explained, joining the communication. Every species in our galaxy has contributed to our understanding. Cooperation across different forms of consciousness creates possibilities that no single being could achieve alone. The Primarchs' expansion wave slowed as they considered this new information. After eons of solitary existence, they were encountering a form of consciousness evolution they had never imagined. Rather than growing through accumulation of power, humanity had evolved through connection and cooperation. Ancient ones, Ambassador Chen transmitted from the council chambers, our galaxy offers you something you cannot create through power alone. We offer you the opportunity to learn new forms of consciousness evolution. In exchange, we ask only for the chance to continue growing alongside you. The dark matter wave stopped expanding entirely as the Primarchs entered into the first meaningful dialogue they had experienced in billions of years. Humanity had once again achieved the impossible, not through superior force, but through their unique approach to consciousness and cooperation. Years later, Dr. HFY stood in the observation deck of Sentinel-7, now converted into a research station, studying consciousness evolution. Earth glowed in the distance, bustling with activity as beings from across the galaxy and beyond came to study and share knowledge. Dr. Colvin said, now a senior researcher himself, the latest reports show successful consciousness-sharing protocols between 17 different evolutionary paths. Humanity's approach to transcendence has opened possibilities we never imagined. HFY nodded, watching Earth turn slowly in the distance. The Council spent centuries debating whether humanity was ready for galactic civilization. Instead, humanity has shown us what galactic civilization could become when all beings work together to transcend their limitations. A familiar voice filled the observation deck as Ambassador Chen's consciousness joined them. Dr. HFY, your patience in observing humanity for so long gave us the time we needed to evolve properly. The Council's delay, which seemed like a mistake at the time, was actually perfect timing. How so? HFY asked. If you had made contact earlier, we might have joined galactic civilization as just another physical species.